ago. I do appreciate that you have put a sense of timeliness and action-packed decision-making to a cause that, like you, when I was elected 2 years ago, I didn't really appreciate the depth and the breadth of how this challenge was going to define our time in office. So I have poured myself out and tried to learn as much as I possibly can from every avenue of expertise that thankfully exists very noticeably in our city. We have amazing resources with the Sea Grant, NOAA, with the Charleston Resilience Network, with all of the civil engineering firms that are sending their employees to learn the state-of-the-art way of calculating all of these complicated things that Matt does so well to put into actually friendly English language. I think that one of the things that this momentum is going to bring to us, and I will happily vote for whatever first reading document we end up putting on our agenda right this minute, but what Matt said the phrase, and I think what your question was getting at, Councilmember Moody, was the fact that even this ordinance, if we left it as sort of the one-size-fits-all citywide document that now we're saying to ourselves probably needs to be adjusted to be more protective of the special protection areas and all of that. But regardless, this would be part of our building code, essentially, our site permitting code, not a zoning ordinance. And what we're really talking about here ultimately, to protect your future generations, Councilmember Griffin and my grandson, are land use changes that we know we have to be looking at. So I think this is another great momentum building jumping off place, but to be fair to the building industry and the property owners, we are going to have to start talking about giving them the roadmap when a potential buyer comes into our region. The first thing they do is, if they're smart, they talk to people in the planning world, and they look at the future land use map, and they look at the zoning code, and they look at the comprehensive planning that we've put on top of that. And that's what gives them the either go, no-go, red light, green light, yellow light decision-making that any smart developer would go through in order to decide that they're going to put a contract on a piece of land. And then they do the due diligence for stormwater, opportunities and all the other constraints that that particular property might put into the mix of whether they're going to buy the property or not. We don't want to be known as a community that gets a developer sucked in here, not knowing that when they buy a piece of property, we're going to say, it's in a wet zone, you can't build there. It's in an ecological zone, you can't build except with a certain building technology. We have to be upfront as a community, because that's how we're going to be known as strong and fair and dynamic and future-oriented. So I think what we do tonight is a great start, and we're going to need to change this document so that it really does work for the building community and work for the people that we're pledged to help protect their particular special flood hazard areas. But we're not done. So come back in 2020 and let's start talking about the master plan and the land use that we know we all have to be shepherding through in the year ahead.
Councilmember Shea.